Still ask about Brexit. And the latest poll I saw said that over half the people of the UK regret Brexit, right?
That's what they said before Brexit.
Why are they
That's
wrong?
what they said before Brexit. That's what the polls said, my dear Geoff. That's what they said before Brexit. And then the people of England, the people of Britain voted for Brexit in the greatest numbers that have ever voted for any proposition in the history of our democracy. 17.4 million people voted to leave the EU because basically they wanted to take back control of their own country. And one of the there are many reasons for loving the United States of America. But one of the most interesting is that for all the idealism of this great country, you, Americans, do not adulterate your sovereignty, your democracy with any other international institution. You do not allow any international other court to have any say on the doings of the United States. You don't submit to the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court, to the UN Convention on Law of the Sea. You haven't even signed up to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in the United States. God, I don't know why, but you don't. And that is basically because you believe in democracy and you believe in the fundamental principle that if someone is set in authority over you, there should be some means by which they can be ultimately removed from office by someone that you elect. And that's what, and unfortunately in the EU, for all its beauties and virtues, that fundamental principle is being slowly destroyed. And our people, UK, they wanted to control their own borders, they want to control their own laws, and they want to control their own currency. And by the way, anybody who thinks the UK is going to rejoin the EU ever, you've got to imagine that you could persuade the British people to spend £20 billion a year for the privilege of giving up control of all those things, right. including the pound sterling.
Hi everyone, who on earth pays good money to listen to Boris Johnson speak? Honestly, aren't there better things to spend your hard-earned cash on? Even a bag of magic beans would be a sounder investment than believing whatever the fuck comes out of this guy's mouth. Yet, Fortune magazine seems to have cash to burn, as they invited Boris Johnson to speak at an event where he ranted about Brexit, sovereignty and democracy, and as expected, he was lying from the off. In one segment, he dismissed polling that shows a growing number of people regretting Brexit, including myself. The interviewer Geoff Colvin mentioned recent polls indicating over half the UK regrets the decision, to which Johnson responded with his usual deflection. He claimed, "That's what they said before Brexit," suggesting the polling now is as unreliable as it was then. Here's the issue. Polling before the referendum showed a tight race with a slight edge for Remain, while today, consistent polling over several years shows a clear majority who believe Brexit was a mistake, including myself. Johnson conveniently ignores this shift in public opinion and the fact that while many now regret leaving, it doesn't automatically mean there's strong support to rejoin. Johnson also repeated the tired line about Brexit being the greatest democratic mandate in history, conveniently glossing over the fact that Northern Ireland and Scotland voted decisively against it. He conflated England's majority vote with the entire UK's decision, and then there's his usual hypocrisy. If Brexit was the ultimate display of democracy, why did he and his supporters fiercely resist the idea of putting the question to a vote again? On sovereignty, he claimed the British people wanted control over their borders and laws, which we have not got. But since leaving, immigration numbers have risen, and Johnson never ever clearly explains which laws couldn't be implemented before we left the EU, under EU membership. In fact, the only post-Brexit benefit seems to be applying VAT to private school fees, something Johnson is probably against. He was also championing America, describing it as the epitome of democracy because it doesn't submit to international bodies like the International Criminal Court or the UN Convention on the Rights of a Child. This, of course, ignores the US and their commitments to NATO, the United Nations and other international organisations. His comparison between the EU and the US is deeply flawed. Comparing a union of sovereign nations to a single country is absurd, but this is Boris Johnson, he's always absurd. Finally, he brushed off the idea of rejoining the EU, citing a supposed £20 billion cost of membership, yet Brexit has already cost the UK far more than that annually in lost trade and increased bureaucracy. Businesses are paying more and receiving less, a reality Johnson chooses to ignore. The real question is, why are people still paying to listen to this man? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Jake from Just Jake. As always, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.